to you all because he is an MCC grad and alum and started out there, worked really hard, and I got to work a little with him, but I didn't teach him about what he's doing. He's done that on his own and he's very curious, and it's really been great to watch. So I wanted to tell you that he is a cultivation specialist at, when I can't read my own writing again, Midwest Organics Microlabs, and I knew that, but I just couldn't read the note, that I wrote. He also has started his own business, which is, are you ready? number 2, Z Fungi. All right, and he is the chief CEO and owner and has started some cool stuff. So he's here to tell us about what he's doing. He loves questions. So if you have a question as he's talking, raise your hand and he'll call on you and get you to ask that question. So he's looking for an interactive session. Yeah. I think you are in for a real treat. Would you please welcome Nicholas Hein?
Can you get the audio up a little bit?
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Awesome. All right, let's get this started. So tonight's presentation is on all things mycology, but more so specifically on how fungi can bring hope to our futures. So in some of these ways, that is plastic-degrading fungi, waste energy, and mycoremediation.
Did you get it?
If at any time anyone has any questions about any of the topics that I'm about to go through, please just raise your hand, and I would love to have a conversation with you. So first, yes, let's see if I can get that going. It's the projector. Okay. All right. Is that better? Yeah.
That thing that says turn up your volume.
Oh.
We don't have to see that
all right. My apologies. Thank you for your patience.
Perfect.
Okay.
And as long as we're asking for those of us short in the back, can it be? Oh my God.
You want it to go up higher?
Okay. No, now it's got all that other stuff. Oh, and that'll go away.
Yeah. You want it up higher?
I don't know why that's there. Oh, should I just roll with it? I don't know why that's there. Ah.
It's co-hosting. It's co-hosting.
Okay. All right. No worries. All right. So thank you for your patience, everyone. All right. So the first topic is plastic-degrading fungi, which is actually my specific area of research that I'm currently doing right now. And at the end of the presentation, I will actually show you on the projector what it actually looks like in real time as the mushroom is actually breaking down plastic. So one of our biggest problems that we have as both a species and a society and culturally is our waste problem, and that is mostly due to plastic. Yes, there are other waste products that we have that aren't being recycled, but plastic is by far probably our worst one. And for the most part, it has been known that plastic cannot be biodegraded. But in 2011, a group of researchers in Yale actually went down to the Amazon and found a fungi that was breaking down polyurethane. And that's actually what I'm going to be showing you today. I have that very same fungi. And I've actually been doing research on training this fungi to break down different types of plastic. And I've actually been able to show that it's breaking down styrofoam as well, which is probably the worst plastic out there because it is not reused. It's mostly burned if it is reused for anything. And it just floats around in our oceans, making microplastics. So that's one of the great things that fungi give us hope for in the future. Second thing is waste to energy. So a lot of the time people think that waste is just waste and it cannot be used for anything. but that's actually wrong. There are actually chemical compounds that are in our municipal waste and even in plastic and other types of waste that, if used properly, can actually provide us with energy in the means of heat. This has been shown actually in a researcher's papers and patents named Nicholas Deklishev, who was a Russian-American scientist who was actually also working with the CIA at one point, and his patents and research were actually classified and only was recently declassified. And I'm actually talking about it now. So some of that is actually on the production of fuel using hydrogen peroxide and sugar. This chemical reaction isn't anything new. It was actually used as the chemical catalyst for rockets by the Germans. I'm not saying that I support what they did. It's just more so that's the science and that's what it was used for. But then also Victor von Braun, being the scientist that he was, went to NASA, and NASA also used that chemical catalyst propellant in their rockets in the early 50s and 60s. So this is not a novel means of heat and energy production. And using this chemical reaction, we can actually make fuel that we can use to produce energy for our cities on a smaller scale and as a passive means, not an immediate means like you would in a car's engine, but more so like a hydroelectric dam, where you are adding waste, or, in a hydroelectric dam, it's the water, but in this system, it's your waste. And over time, you are breaking it down and making energy. Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry, could you back up just a minute? Did you say the hydrogen peroxide and the sugar were the products, or were they the catalyst, or was the product the catalyst?
I understand. So the hydrogen peroxide and sugar is the actual fuel that is making the energy. The chemical reaction that happens between hydrogen peroxide and sugar oxidizes extremely quickly and creates a lot of heat, and then is combusted because of the reaction that's happening. Does that make sense?
Well, I was wondering about the catalyst.
So the hydrogen peroxide and the sugar was acting as the catalyst in the rockets that were being used in the 50s and 60s. Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, that hydrogen peroxide and sugar are household chemicals. The knee-jerk reaction is, hey, I can go make rocket fuel. Just to clarify, that's not the case.
Yes, this is not the case, because you do need a specific form of hydrogen peroxide that is at least above the concentration of 70%. You could go lower, but then it wouldn't be as reactive. So most household hydrogen peroxide is below 50%. So you wouldn't be able to make rocket fuel at home, but if you tried, it probably wouldn't work. So that's a good thing. But what is even more interesting is fungi actually produce naturally, as a byproduct of breaking down various wastes, hydrogen peroxide. It's actually one of their main chemical defenses towards other organisms and contaminants in their environment. They produce on the exterior layer, and I'll actually be showing this to you in a minute once I get the AR plates out. They produce a layer of hydrogen peroxide along the surface of the mycelium, or the root structure of the mushroom, and that is what is protecting them. And we can actually create a means of harvesting that hydrogen peroxide from the fungi, breaking down our waste to produce fuel, to produce energy. So that's really cool. Next is mycoremediation. So all of these things combined, what we can do is we can actually start healing our planet. We've already done a lot of damage over the decades, where we've kind of just been, nascently, going about things, all business, full steam ahead, with no bars for what we're doing to our natural environment. And what this does is we can actually capitalize on our natural environment and make it better. Using some of these products that I've made, which are these planters here. It's kind of hard to see, but at the end of this presentation, you can come up here and I actually have them, and you can look at them. These planters can actually be incorporated with plants that are known to break down heavy metals and other contaminants in our soil, water, and air, and it will bioaccumulate these heavy metals and other contaminants. One of the ideas that I had is actually doing this for Youngstown, Ohio, which is pictured here. Back in I want to say, when was it? February last year? Yeah, the chemical spill that decimated the entire town of Youngstown, Ohio, along with hundreds. Sorry?
Palestine, not Youngstown.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, but Youngstown is like 15 minutes away as well. They're very close together.
Still around.
Yes. And then hundreds of kilometers of waterway was also decimated, and fish populations were destroyed. Deer, pets, dogs, cats, many wildlife was affected in this chemical spill, which was terrible, and nothing has really been done about it even since then. And this is something that could actually actively solve it. So does anyone have any questions thus far? Otherwise, I'll go to the next slide. All right. Okay. Oh, come on. All right. No, it's okay. I'm just gonna go back. All right, well, I had videos, but I mean, the next best thing is I can actually just show you it in person. So I'll just skip that and I'll just show you in person what I was going to show you on the videos, which was actually in real time, the fungi breaking down the plastic and producing the hydrogen peroxide, as I was talking about in the previous slide. So that was how fungi can produce hope for us in the future by the means of our environment. But how can fungi produce hope for us for our own health? Because I think everyone agrees that you want to have a long and prosperous life and also be healthy. And I do too. And part of my business, A to Z Fungi, is actually producing concentrated extracts that are already bioavailable for your body of these various fungi to help you live a more healthy life. Some species of noted importance, and I'm just going to list them out, and then a couple of their effects that they have, documented effects that they have on our bodies, and then just hopefully we'll have some questions from there. So Tremella fusiformis, snow jelly right here, has been shown to have a anti-inflammatory effect, specifically for people who are suffering from eczema, psoriasis, and also has a extremely strong anti-tumor effect on cancer cells in vitro. So in an agar dish, but not in actual like rice or rat or mice studies. But that will be happening in the future. The next is golden chanterelle, which I also have up here on the table, has been shown to have an accelerating wound healing effect. So if you have cuts, bruises, broken bones, and other injuries to your body, you could actually use the sugar, the complex sugar carbohydrates from this mushroom to accelerate the healing process of your body. The next, this is actually probably the most exciting one for me, because there's some people that I know who have spinal cord injuries, and I actually have this mushroom with me today to show you. But the next one is matsutake. Matsutake is a prized mushroom in Japan, and sometimes, depending on the season, one mushroom can go for $100, just one. So this is an extremely valuable mushroom, not only just because of how delicious it is, but also for its in mice study. So an actual living organism, not in a petri dish, it was shown to actually regenerate the nerve endings of a severed spinal cord in mice, and was able to rehabilitate the ability of the nerves in the spinal cord of the mice to send information and eventually get them to actually have muscle movement again. So just think of the implications that could have for so many individuals that myself or you may know that have had an injury to their back and cannot walk or cannot move at all. So, I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. And this was recently done. This was in 2020, and they're coming out with another study here in the next year. So very excited to see what happens with that. The next and last one, I have a couple others as well that I have not put on the screen, but we'll get to that, is cordyceps. I think in popular media, people have kind of heard about cordyceps here and there, about the zombie fungus, but it's actually very good for you. Cordyceps is anti-inflammatory. It's actually been shown to help people who have asthma because it's able to help your red blood cells absorb about, or not absorb, but bind to 12 to 16% more oxygen. So it's helpful for people who have asthma or any other lung conditions. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it called the zombie fungus?
So the genus of cordyceps is known to parasitize insects. So there was actually a video game and a TV show that was based off of the cordyceps mushroom where this is fictional. It evolved to the point to be able to parasitize humans, but that's not possible here in our actual reality. Yes, ma'am.
So like the tremolo, is that topical or? Can you repeat the question for the people on video?
Yes. So the question for the cordyceps and the tremella. So the question for cordyceps was, why was it called the zombie fungus? And then the question for the tremella is it used as a topical or any other treatment? So the cordyceps, it's quickly known as the zombie fungus because it parasitizes insects. And then tremella, for the eczema and psoriasis relief, it can be used both externally and internally. So the way that I'm doing it right now is making a concentrated extract to be used in a pain relief balm that could then be applied on the skin as an immediate relief. But then eczema and other skin conditions that are similar to eczema also are derived from our gut biome as well, from a dysfunction of our bacteria in our stomach and our lower intestines. So it can also be treated internally as well with a concentrated bioavailable extract that you can consume. And then, so some of the other things as well that cordyceps has been known to do is it has a strong antioxidant effect. It's also anti-tumorous as well, and anti-hyperglycemic. So it's really good for people who are struggling with diabetes and keeping their glucose levels in check. And it's also modulating. So if your immune system is overactive or inactive, it will help you to kind of get that into equilibrium. And then a couple other noted species that I haven't put up here are turkey tail, the tinder fungus, as well as maitake. So the tinder fungus has been known to rehabilitate bees who have been suffering from the deformed wing virus, as well as the Lake Sinai virus, which Paul Stamets has shown in his research. And then maitake and turkey tail also have strong anti-tumorous effects. And Paul Stamets, a mycologist in Washington, also showed that through a anecdotal treatment of his mother using maitake and turkey tail was able to cure her of her stage 3 breast cancer, just using those. So mushrooms for our health are absolutely amazing. Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about curing, is this just taken orally, like frying, sauteing them and eating them?
So from my understanding, how Paul Stamets went about it was he was actually making kind of like what I'm doing, concentrates and extracts to get the very specific medicinal compounds that are actually within the mushrooms, and then giving them as a like capsule or tincture form, a liquid form that could be consumed or drank. And then, yes, ma'am?
Is the tinder fungus something that you can just find in nature around here?
It's extremely difficult to find around here. I've been searching for it for like 3 years. I only found it once. I didn't realize what it was at the time because I was still learning everything that I'm learning now. And then haven't found it since, but it grows extremely abundantly in the Pacific Northwest. You look at any tree and it's probably growing on there. When I was there just this past fall, I was on a hike for 20 minutes. Within the first 20 minutes, I saw it, and then every other tree had it. So, but it's also an endangered species or becoming endangered. So it's advised not to overpick. And if you are to pick, just to take a sample of that singular fruiting body, not take the whole thing. All right. Any questions? Okay. And then the last thing that mushrooms can do for us is making building materials. So I think it's really cool that we have houses and everything. I think it would be cooler if our houses were sustainably built, and not even built, but actually grown. What I'll show you today as well, after the presentation is over and the last of our announcements are done, you can come up here and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. Right now in real time, this is actually being employed in various businesses and industries across the world in the United States. Some of these businesses are Ecovative, which is pictured here. They actually make sustainable mycelium packaging that you can purchase for your own business or for yourself. And they'll make a custom mold for you where you can then place whatever you're trying to ship into it, and it'll go across the world and it won't break. That's really cool. They were founded in 2007 by, I want to say there were 2 MIT graduates. Pretty interesting. It's a styrofoam packaging replacement. That's why they founded their company, because they didn't like how styrofoam was polluting the environment. So they decided to figure out a way to replace it. So they did. Next up is mycelium in actual construction, actual building materials. I actually met the founder of this company back in California in September of last year, and that was a very interesting conversation. Zero Work Labs, or OCOM Work Labs. They are actually building insulation and support structures for houses and corporate buildings. And I pictured it up here, but it's kind of hard to see. If you look up OCOM Works online, you should be able to pull up a couple of their videos. It's actually pretty interesting what they're doing. And so you can actually build a house on top of these mycelium products and it won't crumble. And then last is my own company, A to Z Fungi. One of the things that I am doing is making planters like this here. And if you can't see it now, that's okay. You can come up and I'll show you it in person. These planters are extremely interesting to me, and I hope as well to a couple of organic farmers that I know, which are actually going to be trialing this coming season, because there have been a wide variety of documented symbiotic relationships between mycelium and plants. In one of my books that I brought here today that I'll show you afterwards, Radical Mycology, some of the known plant relationships that help increase the resiliency and crop yield between plants and fungi is raspberries and reishi, Kinstropharia or winecap and sweet corn, and Namiko and strawberries. And so what I am doing with these planters is making curated planters with specific species for the specific plant that organic farmer will be growing, in order to increase the resiliency of that plant for droughts and floods, but also helping to bring in nutrient uptake, because one thing that plants can't do as efficiently as fungi is breaking down the minerals that are locked up in our soil. So the really awesome thing is you can literally just take the planter, grow your plant, the mycelium gets incorporated into the root structure, and then it spreads out from there, and it helps to break down the minerals that the plant can't eat. It brings in the water that the plant can't get, and if it's getting too much water, it brings it out. And then it also just helps, because of all of that optimized efficiency, it's increasing the yield. How much, I do not know yet. That's going to be known at the end of the season once I get all the data from the farmers. So I'll let you guys know about that once that comes around. And that is that on that part. I want to say yes, ma'am.
The stuff that you're using for packaging,
That was a different company, but yes, ma'am.
well, whoever, what happens to that after it's been used for that, to deliver that product or whatever?
So it does have a few, like it does have a little bit of a lifetime, but eventually it will break down. But because it is all mycelium and organic products, it is compostable. So you do not have to worry about it polluting your waterways, your landfills, or anything of that sort. You can just throw it into your compost and it breaks down entirely. Same thing with these planters. The planters just simply incorporate the mycelium into the root structure of the plant and then eventually breaks down. Yes, sir.
So with polystyrene, you indicated that you break down polystyrene with fungi.
Yes, sir.
So on a macro level, for example, we take our polystyrene to the township and they deal with it. Would it be feasible to set up what I would call farms that would eat the polystyrene and process it into an acceptable form on a local or micro, even in our backyard? We could have a small farm consume
The polystyrene.
polystyrene.
Yes, sir. Actually, I'm
The question.
okay. So the question is on a more large scale, can the polystyrene that is collected by our municipal collection agencies and brought to our landfills, can it be collected and then used on a local level to be broken down in a sustainable fashion? The answer shortly is yes. And it's actually even more interesting than just yes, because thankfully tonight I actually have one of my business partners with me, who's actually, both of us are working together on this problem of being able to collect efficiently and economically in our local communities the waste from our landfills and then breaking it down to produce cellulosic ethanol, hydrogen peroxide, and sugar, like I showed you, or more so explained in the first slide, to then produce energy. And then the byproducts after the energy is produced, other than the cellulosic ethanol, hydrogen peroxide, and sugar, is just basically compost that can then be, turned into topsoil that can then be sold to farmers. So yes, in a short form answer, it can be done. Yes. All right. And so, yes, sir.
Are you working on the feasibility to try to produce those planters for commercial so you can buy them in the store? Is that what the goal is for you to get to that level?
Yes, and within the year or 24 months, I plan to be able to rate manufacture these planters at a level to be commercial and to either be in storefronts or to be sold and bought wholesale by farmers. My main market is organic farmers, just because they already have so many different stipulations. They can't use as many things as regular traditional industrial farmers. So anything that they can use to help increase their crop yields, as well as the resiliency of their crops, I want to do that. So yes, I do plan to go that route, sir.
Do you have a price point where you're trying to get to with the market vote?
Yes, sir. I do have a couple dozen patents, yes. And they're currently in the process of being filed. Yes. So, yeah. Any more questions? All right. So, the last part is I'm actually just going to show you in real time what it looks like on a microscopic level, these fungi. And another thing too is these are QR codes. I'll bring these up on the screen. If you have your camera on your phone, you can just scan these. This one will take you to Midwest Organics website and all of our information. If you want to buy any of the, some of the mushrooms that I talked about today as a grow kit to grow at home yourself. And then on the left is for my business's website, A to Z Fungi, where you can start pre-ordering bioavailable concentrates of some of the fungi that we spoke about tonight. I'll let you do that for a moment. Yes, ma'am.
Midwest Organic, what's your partnership with them?
It's confusing. It's the same name, but it's not the same company.
Yes. So Midwest Organics or Midwest Grow Kits is the company that I work for. Midwest Grow Kits sells ready to grow mushroom kits and supplies to grow your own gourmet mushrooms at home.
And it works.
And it does work. Yes.
It's mean like huge.
Yeah. All right. Yes, sir.
Mushrooms that well,
Yes, sir. So the question was, what was the list of plant and fungal relationships that were symbiotic with each other? Some of the ones that I listed, there are many others that are still being documented and researched today, but these are the most well-known and most well-documented. That which being reishi and raspberry, sweet corn and wine cap or King Stropharia, and then Namiko and strawberry. All right. Yes, sir.
Keep in mind that this is being recorded, so you can go back and even get a picture, get a close-up picture and get some of the information again if you want to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And so these are like gonna be kind of like biodegradable, we can buy the current biodegradable paper planters, but they're gonna be somehow inoculated
With the mycelium? Yes. Yeah. I actually have some here with me today. So if you're interested to see what that actually looks like, you can come up afterwards and I'll show you exactly what that is. But yes, it's all biodegradable and it's fully grown mycelium. There's no paper. It's a mixture of sawdust and grain and a couple other constituent materials that build that product. Yes, ma'am?
How many business cards did you bring with you?
I have them in my car. I forgot them at the last minute, but I have more than enough. Yes, the QR code too. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Everyone good?
Yep.
All right. So next up, I'm going to switch it over to the microscope here.
Switch the HDMI.
All right. Yes. So just that. All right.
It's a QR.
Here, can you hold that, please? Thank you. Slowly but surely. Okay. I can't. Yeah. There we go. Sweet. All right. So this is the fun part. For me, at least. I hope it's as fun as for you as it is for me. All right. So this is actually the polyurethane. The styrofoam's already gone. So I have to make a new one for that one. So this is polyurethane. This is the plastic that this mushroom was first documented to be able to break down. So here, I'm just gonna go through a couple different levels here. Here, actually, let me highlight a little structure. Or here, let me see if I can find it again. All right, let's see. It's kind of hard to find sometimes. I'm trying to find the gas production bubbles that I was kind of talking about earlier. Yeah, basically it is mushroom farts. That's pretty much what's going on. Mushroom farts, mushroom burps, it's basically the same thing. I can't find it at this moment. They're pretty hard to find. But here, this is what I'll talk about. So this darker structure here that you see is actually the polyurethane or the single-use saran wrap. And then these more filamentous strands or threads that you see is actually the mycelium that is growing on and into the structure of the plastic. It's really interesting. I'll kind of move it around a little more. Oh, this is actually a really good shot right here. Let me try to. No, this is actually. So this structure right here, that's not in focus on the screen here. Let me get it in focus on the screen. No, that's not. It's kind of hard to see. If you want to come up and look at it on my computer screen, it's a lot better afterwards. So this really dark thin strand here is actually the mycelium root that's injecting itself into the physical structure of the plastic and starting to break it down. Really cool stuff. Next, I'm going to throw on a mushroom species that I didn't talk about, but I'm pretty interested in it because I think I found another mushroom that is potentially breaking down plastic that has yet to be documented. Because it is doing something that I haven't seen before. All right. This one's a lot more fun because this one has the bubbles producing everywhere. All right. So, here, let me see if I can get that. Yeah, these are some of the mushroom farts and mushroom burps, everyone. All right, that's as good as it's gonna get. So these like really small dots, circles that you see here are actually those gaseous bubbles that I was kind of talking about earlier, that I presume is the actual hydrogen peroxide that's being produced as a result of breaking down the various nutrients that are on this dish. But also, as you can see, the background is completely clear and white because this is the plastic portion of the dish. If I go over just a little more, here, let's see if it brightens up. Here, let's find a nice little filamentous strand. Brighten up. It's not going to show up as well, but just not too far is the actual nutritious kind of food that the mushroom is using to grow, but this part is completely all plastic right here. So there's no other nutrient other than the plastic on this specific portion, and it's currently surviving. So I think I found another mushroom that is potentially breaking down plastic. And this mushroom is pheasant back, or also known as dryad saddle. Yes. And then this here is the chanterelle that I was talking about earlier that has the accelerated wound healing effects. This is a really cool one. I haven't really seen a mycelium structure quite like this. It just reminds me of like honeycomb just because of its color. I just think this one's really cool. I just wanted to show you something that looked visually interesting. And then this is the one that I'm really proud of, and also really grateful to have the opportunity to be able to grow it, because not many people have been successful in being able to isolate this species. And it means a lot to me because if I can successfully make the concentrates of this, it could help those who are paralyzed. So this is the matsutake. No one has really been successful in isolating this species in a laboratory environment, so I'm one of the few. I even spoke with Paul Stamets's very own lab team, and they didn't even have any idea of how this was going to be possible, and I made it. They basically just told me good luck, and I got it. Let me get this in focus because this one's really cool. All right. Yes, this one is extremely different because the thing about matsutake is that it's not like other mycelium or mushrooms like I've been showing you tonight, because it makes a symbiotic relationship with tree roots and bacteria in the soil. The other mushrooms that I was showing you are mostly what's called I don't know how to pronounce it. I know how to spell it. Saprobic or saprophytic, where it breaks down wood. This is mycorrhizal. It is actually, in order to grow and thrive, it needs a relationship with bacteria and plant roots. So it's an extremely hard species to isolate in the laboratory environment. And this is actually it here.
Did you dye that slide, or it's not a slide, I realize, but I mean, is that its natural color?
Yes, it is dyed. So that is not its natural color. It's just what I was using to kind of get the proper nutrients to get it to grow. And then let's see, I think I might have something else that might be of interest. I actually didn't throw this one on earlier. I don't even know how this is going to come out. Let's see. This is the cordyceps mushroom. Oh yeah, here's a. This is probably not going to come up really well on. Yeah, no, that's not even. You can't even see it on the projector, so I'm not going to show it. But there was a lot of gas bubble production there, mushroom farts, as you know. But that is that. Are there any more questions, curiosities? All right. We do have one question. 2 questions. Yes.
So the fungus that you were able to grow in the lab, where did you get spores to start with that? Or how do you identify if you just have the mycelium and not the big fruiting body?
So what I do have is just the mycelium. That is just the mycelium on the plate. The fruiting body is extremely hard to produce, but the very same sugars or complex carbohydrates, or sorry, excuse me, the carbohydrates that are produced that have that spinal cord regeneration effect are still made in the mycelium or the root structure of that mushroom. And the way that I obtained it is actually a really serendipitous event and experience for me. I was at a mushroom festival in Oklahoma for the very first. It was actually the very first one in Oklahoma, and there was another vendor there that I didn't even know was there. I was just walking around. It was the last day. I wanted to see who else was there, and I saw on their table they had all these beautiful wild foraged mushrooms, and they had a little tote of matsutake, and just that little tote was like a couple $100. And I spoke with the owner and told him, you know, what I'm doing and why I'm interested, and he was like, "Here, just take the one." So, yeah. So that is how I got the matsutake, and it is the matsutake. So it's very cool. All right. Yes.
Your area of study at MCC was.
My study at MCC was one of my favorite experiences because I got to meet a lot of really bright individuals, both faculty and students. MCC is a hidden gem because one of the things that not a lot of people know about MCC is that its greenhouse alone is one of the most advanced in the United States when it comes to colleges, at least. We're not talking private greenhouses or anything of that sort. From an anonymous, generous donation of I don't know how much it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. That greenhouse was built, and it's even more advanced than some of the top universities in Illinois. So it was.
That's the question.
Oh, that was my certificate. Oh, my apologies. I didn't realize. I'm deaf in my right ear, so it's hard for me to hear sometimes. Associates in science. So, yeah. Nothing special, but I also did 2 years at University of Wisconsin-La Crosse studying astrophysics and sociology, but I never completed my degree. Completed it at MCC and decided to go on the route of learning what life is, and then that brought me here. All right. Any other curiosities or questions?
What's your ultimate goal for your sort of career in the future?
So my ultimate goal for my career and future is to help our planet and help each other. And also help myself as well, because I mean, there are, you know, the matsutake, one of the other reasons why I'm really interested in it is because of the fact that it was able to regenerate nerves in the spine. Part of me wonders if it could potentially regenerate the nerve endings that I do not have in my right ear. I was born completely deaf in my right ear. And that was a result of nerve endings not being formed in my cochlea. So part of me wonders if it could potentially do that. So yes, there are some selfish benefits that I'm interested in for myself as well. I would like to hear, but I also have a really big heart. I want to be able to help people, and you know, I just want to be able to put my energy in something that can actually do that. So that's one, and then the other is to, you know, help our planet to become, you know, more abundant and rich. There's 2 questions, but yes.
Are you looking for investors?
Yes, I am. Yes, ma'am.
You were at the Green Living Expo.
I was. Yes.
And then where's your business sort of located out of?
So the business that I work for is located in Woodstock. My business is located in my home and various other places that I'm currently still searching out. I'm hoping to acquire a lab space in Harvard. That will also be the space where I'll be producing the extracts that I will be providing to the food shed. And then I also have, sorry, what? Potentially, but I have no idea. And then I also was generously given a small plot of land to test my planters on my own like little farm, because I also worked on a couple farms too, and I love farming, so I'm trying to get back into that as well. And that's also in Harvard, just like up the street from where I'm hopefully going to acquire my lab space. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Wish you all the best. I have a friend whose grandson has to be about your age, and he was in a skiing accident and he can't walk it. He can't move.
That's terrible.
Go for it.
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing it for people like that, ma'am.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So good things come from MCC, big-hearted, wonderful young folks who are going to solve lots of problems, right? So we'll keep at them and supporting them. Meantime, we know that you have some wonderful